In 1997, a highly qualified nuclear physicist named Frank Grimes walked into Sector 7G of the Springfield nuclear power plant and noticed something deeply unsettling. There, sitting in one of the most important safety positions in the entire facility, was Homer Simpson. A man who ate donuts off the floor, a man who slept on the job, a man who once got stuck hanging from a coat hook while wearing a hazmat suit. Yet somehow this apparent idiot owned a spacious 4-bedroom suburban home, drove 2 cars, regularly enjoyed lobster dinners, and had a son who casually bought an abandoned factory for $1. Grimes looked at Homer and saw something nobody else seemed willing to acknowledge. He famously screamed, "You're a fraud, Simpson, a total fraud." Not long afterward, Grimes met a bizarre and tragic end while mocking Homer's incompetence and accidentally touching high-voltage wires. The town laughed it off. But when you look at the cold, hard math behind 742 Evergreen Terrace, you start to realise something uncomfortable. Frank Grimes may have been the only sane man in Springfield, because Homer Simpson isn't just lucky, he's a financial impossibility. Let's start with the numbers. In Season 7, the show briefly flashes Homer's paycheck on screen. Before taxes, he earns exactly $479.60 per week. That works out to roughly $25,000 a year in 1990s money. Adjusted for inflation, that's around $50,000 to $55,000 today. Now compare that income to his lifestyle. Homer supports a family of 5, a stay-at-home spouse, 3 children, a dog, several cats, and all of them live in a detached suburban house with a 2-car garage, basement, front yard, and backyard. On top of that, Homer spends a significant portion of his free time drinking Duff beer at Moe's Tavern and consuming what appears to be an industrial quantity of pink frosted donuts. In today's economy, a single income of $55,000 supporting an entire household doesn't buy a suburban dream. It barely buys breathing room. Yet Homer never seems concerned. When financial trouble appears, he doesn't panic. He shrugs. At one point, he simply says, "I have 3 kids and no money. Why can't I have no kids and 3 money? The numbers don't add up. They never have." Naturally, defenders of Homer point to his side hustles. After all, Homer has held well over 100 different jobs throughout the series. Maybe that's where the money comes from. Except that explanation falls apart the moment you examine it. Take Mr. Plow, a snowplow business that lasts roughly 1 winter before warm weather destroyed the entire market. Or the B Sharps, a Grammy-winning barbershop quartet whose brief fame peaked decades ago. Then there was his NASA mission, a mission where Homer managed to jeopardize millions of dollars of equipment by clogging critical systems with potato chips. That's not passive income, that's evidence for a lawsuit. His boxing career wasn't much better. His entire strategy involves standing still and getting punched in the face until his opponents collapse from exhaustion. The medical bills alone should have erased whatever prize money he earned. These aren't reliable income streams, they're random financial anomalies. You don't maintain a stable suburban lifestyle for decades on old music royalties, one snowplow season, and occasional trips to space. The side jobs aren't an explanation. They're a distraction. But the strangest part isn't the money. It's the employment record. Homer Simpson has been fired from the Springfield nuclear power plant over and over again. He's been terminated for negligence, for sleeping on the job, for causing labour disputes, for growing a giant beard in protest, for intentionally gaining enough weight to qualify as disabled so he could monitor the reactor from home while wearing a muumuu. Under his supervision, accidents and safety violations occur with alarming frequency. Yet somehow, every single time, he gets his job back. Think about that. In the real world, a nuclear safety inspector who repeatedly endangered an entire region would never work in the industry again. They would be blacklisted, investigated, possibly arrested. Yet Montgomery Burns keeps rehiring him. Mr. Burns is many things. Generous is not one of them. This is a billionaire who would unplug your life support machine to save on electricity. So why does he keep bringing Homer back? That's where things get suspicious. Maybe Homer knows where the toxic waste is buried. Maybe he's protecting secrets that nobody wants exposed. Maybe he's the public face of something much larger operating behind the scenes. Whatever the explanation, normal corporate logic stopped applying a long time ago. And then there's Homer himself. During his confrontation with Frank Grimes, Homer briefly drops the clueless act. When Grimes demands to know how someone like him can afford such a comfortable life, Homer doesn't struggle for an answer. He simply responds, "Don't ask me how the economy works." It's a throwaway joke. But it's also strangely chilling, because that's exactly the answer someone gives when they don't want further questions. So what's the truth? Maybe Homer runs Springfield's underground grease market. Maybe Mr. Burns quietly pays him to absorb blame whenever the plant causes another disaster. Maybe his ownership stake in the Denver Broncos is worth more than anyone realizes. Who knows, but one thing is certain. The official story doesn't make sense. Homer Simpson isn't surviving on a modest nuclear plant salary, he's hiding behind one. And Frank Grimes was the only person who noticed. He saw through the donuts. He saw through the stupidity. He saw through the act. And in Springfield, that's apparently a dangerous thing to do.